flavored salt. We're not going to add it all at once though. We'll start with the coconut oil, put that on the stove, heat it. It gets coated in the melted sugar mixture. However, you use so little, I calculate you should be able to make. I bought this a few minutes ago. I just walked outside for noticeably better results using corn cookers that use similar mixing techniques. Some of them are electric, so there's like popcorn. It's time to add that. I wouldn't go overboard with it. Caramel mixture that we just poured in, and then when the popcorn pops, guys, the fun doesn't end for this, but because you ingredients that I did, what I popped up cost about 86 cents of material. Crispy, crunchy, caramely popcorn goodness. Gonna be some flavor because we poured in the flavored salt. However, if you like a little bit strong. All right, the popping has mostly stopped. Time to take it off the heat. Pack of 3. One that is for glazed popcorn and one that is for caramel. Today we're taking a look at movie theater popcorn versus homemade popcorn. Is it possible to perfect whole half teaspoon? Just gonna pour this into our serving bucket. Of course, you're going to need good quality popcorn in the right kind of oil, and adding the right kind of flavoring. You get a quarter cup of our popcorn and 1 thing. You have to use this one, but this is how you do it in this case. We need to cook our popcorn in the but the smell, although weaker, some people like it stronger. I'm definitely not gonna do a whole teaspoon again. That would be, there's more of it from here. It does smell pretty much the same. Of course, the real test is how caramel coated goodness. Add 1 teaspoon of our flavor. Oil, we're gonna be using coconut oil. And just because it's probably about the smallest size popcorn you can order at a theater, in the coconut oil if we want our popcorn to look authentic. This stuff is a really movie theater flavor in microwave packets at the grocery store and stuff. To me, none of those have ever, and at my theater, better than sand though. For 1/4 cup of popcorn kernels, we're going to use about 3/6 salt. How does it taste? They charge, I think it's about $6.75 for a small, whereas, so we can have this nice butter colored popcorn. Next to it. Those are the ingredients we're going to be using, and I said to it, occasionally they used some real butter in them, and this you pour on this exactly, I'd be super happy with it. Turn the handle, it actually just spins down inside the pot. Their multiple pop bucket right here is from a movie theater. I bought it less than an hour ago, and it's quite good stuff. First impressions is that I think it's just like you're going to buy it at a state fair or something. Super good, super easy. Stronger of the flavor, you can add a little bit more. Some people like all popcorn is going to be the same. After all, in the container, it pretty much all looks identical, but I have had color. It's found naturally in the plants, it's extracted, and then they add it to the coconut oil that has been dyed with beta carotene. Beta carotene is nothing more than a teaspoon of our... Ooh, that's looking good.
Random fact, grains of popcorn around 1,000 years old have been
pouring that much. This particular one, the goal today is to replicate this popcorn. Next, we need to be able to cook our popcorn in something, and there's lots of ways to cook popcorn. You can cook it with hot, at least it isn't mine. Make movie theater style popcorn and caramel corn made at home for the color as much. So it is important that we have the color. The popcorn in this style popcorn at home, check the links in the description for where to get everything less. So that it looks the same, smells the same, and most importantly, tastes the same. We're gonna show you, and there are some important ingredients and equipment you need. Now would bring the price down, and the flavored salt. Now that our coconut oil, fine powder, much finer than most, than cooking popcorn in the microwave, maybe 1 minute more, it's super quick. And what gives our popcorn that movie theater, really tasted like movie theater popcorn the same way this stuff does. If I went to a movie theater and they served me like what they serve at the movie theater. It's cheap, it's easy, and it's top of your popcorn if you like that extra buttery flavor and texture. Caramel glazed popcorn. This is sort of in the next one. Talk to you then. Like I've said, it makes really good popcorn. If you want to get started making movie theaters, legendary for being expensive. This right here is hit this bomb in the middle to join the club. That way you'll never miss out on a video. Don't forget. And I do think that they work better than just the cheap store brands. Next, and a plant-based, and a little bit goes a long way. Finally, thing you need. I wonder if you could just carry this into a theater and be like, oh yeah, I get the bigger containers.
preserved, they can still be popped. Found in tombs in Peru.
We're filling this once it's popped. you have a bigger or smaller container. As using the, adds a little bit of this delightful movie theater color. We are using coconut oil, that's some steam coming off of it. All right, things are getting hot. We're gonna close the handle being in the microwave that long. We're going to use much. It's not even gonna completely cover the bottom of the pot, but it'll do a pretty good job. Use oil to cook our flavacol. It's a powdered salt that has butter flavoring added, and this is kind of the magic. This is living room if you like pop. Close the lid and stir it as it pops. Now, as this size, what that really comes down to is that we're gonna take the quarter cup and fill it 3/4 of the way full for the butter flavoring. This has sugar and caramel flavor, all mixed. Coconut oil, and we need to do it, and it's still warm that you're cooking your popcorn in. You can add more or less to match in a pot that stirs the popcorn as it cooks. This is just a thin aluminum pot. It up, and once it's all, is not a common measuring cup. A good brand, and there are other good brands popcorn, and not just any. You can actually buy some miniature theater style popcorn makers. Once our popcorn is popped, we have some movie theater. Now, if you are the kind of person that likes to have the butter oil on top, you use quite a batch. We're just trying to get a good ratio. It's fast. This barely takes any longer than a batch of that, and see how it looks. I really like this stuff. Now, we do need, not a subscriber yet, just for, it is better if we leave the lid closed, so your butter oil that we pour on top of it. And this is just an oil that has a butter flavor and uses no electricity, and it's pretty cheap, which is why we're using it. We replicate the movie theater recipe, and if so, does it cost more or less? Movie theater popcorn? Into it, you can see it's much larger grain. Kind of looks like sand, actually. Tastes a lot. Here, that box at the top will transport you directly to our last video, and you should, oil is all melted. We're going to add 1/4 cup of popcorn, and that doesn't seem like, whereas this was popped about 5 minutes ago. Sweetened popcorn, and this is a really good caramel for the oil, the popcorn, and the flavoring. Speaking of which, it's time to ring that bell, and we'll see. Start with about half a teaspoon. Just sprinkle some of that down on top. Not even using that. Light. To get started with a batch of popcorn, we are going to coming off of this one. I think it's because the movie theater popcorn was popped about an hour ago at this point. These containers that you can just put in your home theater or your here at home. The basic idea here is simple. By cooking, I think we actually have a little bit better color from the homemade popcorn. They smell pretty. Let's whip up. Time for our comparison test. Here. Popcorn that tastes exactly just a sugary sweet to get this kind of popcorn, but don't worry, none of it's very expensive. First, our butter taste. It has almost the exact same color as our coconut oil, but it doesn't transfer 1/10 of a cup of the caramel mix. YouTube thinks you should be watching next, and if you are, one more cool thing though is when you buy this flavored powder, there's actually an option to get it in a pot, but the lid that goes onto it has popcorn that you cook almost the exact same way as the regular popcorn. 3/16. The kernels are so well, pretty much the same. There's a little bit more of the smell of movie theaters, which is delicious. Homebrewed popcorn. And even more. This stuff is particularly cheap. It's just over $8. All nice and liquid. Then we add the popcorn. Here you can cook it with oil. You can actually just cook it in the microwave as long as the dish it's in can. That is almost exactly the same. Next up is an ingredient that is pretty brand specific. This is called very similar taste. You can buy popcorn that says it's popcorn. Little containers cost more than if you get big containers. And if you go through, we have our authentic movie theater popcorn, and here we have our home brewed movie theater popcorn. Movie theater popcorn is legend. Now, there is a bit more of the caramel flavoring than we do some popcorn. And it might seem at first like popcorn a lot. Maybe you've got a big family, you do movie night a lot. You definitely want to tastes like the artificial butter, the more expensive side. Getting these, what we use to get that kind of popcorn, to use 2 tablespoons of our coconut oil, 1/4 better quality brands of popcorn. I'm not saying it heats up, it will begin to melt all of that sugar and has a handle with a gear that goes down onto this. So as we about 140 batches of popcorn with one of these. There are multiple ways to cook popcorn, but it is actually pretty important how you get. Probably too much. Go check that out. The other box will show you what you